Once we have processed it, we'll get it up onto our YouTube channel. So just Google 2020 Group USA or on YouTube, just search for 2020 Group USA and the webinars will come up. A ton of other webinars up there to help getting your firm in shape for tax season. So obviously the top tips for tax season, we could go on for days bringing various tips together, but we've also got a marketing webinar later this week and also a services webinar this week. So jump online and just check out some of the other webinars that we're doing focused around tax season. Just to give you a couple of ideas, what you'll see is some of these ideas aren't rocket science, but they're what our members and what we're doing in our own firm are doing just to help tax season. So hopefully there'll be one or two different ideas that you'll be able to implement. If you do have any questions, please pop those into the question box on the GoToMeeting control panel, and I'll do my best to answer those as we're going. So try and make this as interactive as possible. We'll have a couple of polls as well. And just to let folks know, once I get the attendance report, I will send an email with an attachment for the course notes. So don't feel as though you have to scribble notes and text down feverishly. We'll get the course notes over to you once we have the printout of attendees. So, as I said, my name is Damien Greathead, working at the 2020 Group here in Corte Madera, California. And not only do we run the 2020 Group, which is a membership organization for CPAs, but we also have an accounting firm. So we have Fredericks and Crawford CPAs, and it's a small two-partner firm here in Marin County. And just like you, we're gearing up for tax season. So here are some of the tips that we put together, but also some of the tips that some of our 2,500 members around the world have shared with us to make tax season the most profitable and the least stressful as possible. So let's get underway. First one, say welcome and thank you. Again, not rocket science, but it really is the little things here. And we're very big fans of saying welcome to the firm. So welcome to ABC Accounting. We're delighted to have you as a client. This goes out after they've signed the engagement letter. So this is for new clients after they've signed the engagement letter, because the engagement letter, the disclosure statements, the communication statements, the privacy statements, they're all quite adversarial in that we'll charge you a lot, we have no responsibility, no liability, and if you don't get things to us on time, we'll put you on extension. So it's really nice that a couple of days later, they get a follow-up letter that says, we're really delighted to have you as a client. There's a couple of business cards in there, and then always, those letters always finish with, if you know of anyone else we might be able to help, please pass on our business card. So when you do have new clients joining the firm, make sure that we've got a process to get them engaged with the firm, and really just some warm fuzzies, if you will, that they've made the right decision. And we get a lot of referrals just from that welcome letter because it's been a very different experience than previous CPAs. Some firms take it a little step further and actually send them a welcome to the firm pack that might include a coffee mug and some coffee or some candy. I know one of our member firms down in Bakersfield, they give all of their clients, all of their new clients, a welcome pack which includes their 57 ways to grow the business. It also includes some really nice leather coasters and a coffee cup and some coffee and various other pieces with their logo and brand on it. And as I said, it really reinforces to the client that they've made the right decision. So you might just do that for all your new clients to say welcome to the firm. The next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we've got a system in place that says thank you to all of your clients. And I know that when you're standing opposite your clients and they sign the electronic filing consent or signing various forms, you're always saying thank you and you shake their hand and really enjoyed working with you and look forward to seeing you once busy season quietens down. But what we find is that, so Mark, just got your comment about speaking into the microphone, so let me know if that has improved. I've just moved that around a little bit. So what we find there is we say thank you when we're standing opposite people, but again, the same goal is to say thank you immediately following the engagement. So what we've done is we've done it over December and January. We've been writing out thank you cards. So a handwritten note goes to the client about somewhere between 3 and 5 days later after the engagement has finished, so that it reminds the client, thank you, we really appreciate your business, and always, if you know of anyone else we might be able to help, please pass on our business card. So it's been an interesting thing that one of our member firms tested this out of Phoenix, Arizona, and from a marketing standpoint, they did nothing except sent a welcome letter and a thank you card following every engagement, and their referrals were up 20–25%. So just from saying welcome and thank you, they had their referrals were up on previous years. And we're very big fans of saying thank you with a handwritten note. And all it is it might be a letter that's or a card with your logo on the front that just says, "Hi Bill, thanks very much for being a great client. Let us know what we can do to help. And of course, if you know anyone we might be able to help, please pass on our business card." So we always put 2 business cards in the welcome letter and the thank you card, and no surprises, but that really prompts people to refer us. So we get a lot of referrals from clients, and we can measure it as well because the thank you card goes out, and then typically within 2 or 3 days of that thank you card going out, we get a call that says, "Oh, Bill Jones suggested I give you guys a call to help with my taxes." So what we want to be doing is we just want to be reinforcing and reminding clients on a regular basis that if there's anyone else we can help, then please let us know. That welcome letter and the thank you card are very small things, but they go a long way to make a very big difference in the eye of your client. And that's what they remember. They don't necessarily remember the actual experience, or they don't actually remember the wonderful tax savings or the actual tax interview, because that's very technical, but they definitely remember the welcome to the firm letter. They definitely remember the thank you card, and it is very much those little things that that really do help reinforce that they made the right decision, and yes, I am going to recommend you. So say welcome and thank you as the first tip. Get a system in place, get those thank you cards, get them written now, particularly to our A-class clients, A and B-class clients. Let's get them written now. Next tip, make a great, not a good first impression, make a great first impression. So one of our member firms on the left-hand side there, they're going for as much a homely feel as possible. So they have a lot of sofas and lounge chairs in their waiting room, in their reception, throughout their office, so that they're trying to put their clients at ease. They've got televisions and plasma screens throughout the place. They've got a kids area where the kids can go into, and there's the Wiggles playing on the on a TV. There's crayons. There's toys for the kids to play with. So they've gone really taken that extra step to make their office feel like a home, so that it's not a terrible situation. So when parents are coming in and the kids are clinging to them, they can not throw them, but they can put them into the playroom, and lo and behold, we now have our parents' attention for the full 60 minutes of the meeting, or the 30 minutes of the meeting, whereas before these kids would be screaming and running around the meeting room, and we couldn't get any, and basically the meeting took 45 minutes when it should have taken 30 minutes, or 60 minutes when it should have taken 45 minutes. So what we're able to do is we're able to put them into the kids area. One of the ladies in the office is responsible for looking after them. They get a little juice and some snacks, and then they're able to color and play with the toys while mum and dad are meeting. But also, a lot of the meetings happen on sofas rather than the standard sitting opposite over a formal desk. So they've gone a very long way to make it as much of a homely appeal as possible. The next one on the right-hand side there, top right corner, making a great first impression. This is our actual parking signs. Parking is reserved for clients of Fredericks and Crawford CPAs. So I know and I know we get a lot of comments from clients that say, "Oh, I was running late and I was all stressed about where I was going to put the car and where I was going to park." And you alleviated that by having the first 5 spots as soon as you turn into the car park free for clients of the accounting firm. We actually do go a step further, because what we can do is, you can see that line there, we can actually slide a client's name over the top of that. So parking reserved for clients of Fredericks and Crawford, and we typically say, welcome, Bill Jones. So that is Bill Jones's parking spot. And as I said, we get a lot of comments about parking spaces reserved for the client, because they're able to park easily, solves a bit of an anxiety issue, and it makes the world of difference. So all of a sudden, before they've even stepped into our office, we've looked after the little things, and we've put their mind at ease from a where do I put the car standpoint. So it's these little things that go to make a big difference from a service standpoint. Bottom example there, I've just thrown in one of those Nespresso machines as an image. Look at what type of, again, really small things, but look at the refreshments that you're offering your clients. I go into a lot of firms and they say, would you like a cup of coffee? And I say yes, and I get something served in a styrofoam cup that really tastes like it was probably last night's coffee. So it's been sitting on the boiler for a long time. The Nespresso machines, you can get them for $200, $300, $400. Get the pods, and you really elevate yourself from a first impression standpoint. So get the sparkling waters, get the healthy options, get soda, get good quality coffee. And again, back to my original point, that they may not remember the tax credit you identified to help save them $1,000 of taxes. They may not be appreciative of the fact that you didn't put them on extension, but they'll definitely remember the first impression that you make, where we were able to save parking for them, great cup of coffee as soon as they walked in. And we actually have some firms where clients are excited about coming to see their CPA during tax, because they know they're going to get a good cup of coffee. They know it's going to be a very pleasant experience. So why don't we just kick things off with a very quick poll and ask the question, please rate your first impression. And just on a scale of 1 to 5, from 5 being outstanding, and then number 1 being we don't even let our clients in the front door. And typically what we find is most accounting firms do a good first impression, but it sometimes lacks the consistency. So what we want to do is we want to have an audit of our first impression. Now, what I've done is the first impression of coming into the office. But how many other first impressions are we making when we think about it? And we've got about 63% voted, so we'll just leave that open for a little bit longer. What other first impressions are there? And we've got to think, the website is one first impression. The telephone interaction, the telephone call is another first impression. And walking through the front door, another first impression. So if we think about it, and I'll close the poll and share it, if we think about it, there are 3 opportunities there to make a first impression. So what I want you to do is go and have a look at the website. Does this make a good first impression? And I would hazard a guess that the vast majority of accounting firms would be in the needs work, because they've got a templated website that comes free with the tax software, or as a part of the Thompson product range that they buy. The images are pretty drab, the colors are pretty ordinary. I can't find the phone number on the front page. So that might be where we look at our first impression, is our website. Then what's our first impression like on the phone? Can our callers actually get through to a voice, through to a human being, or do they have to go through the telephone tree, and a few of those things that we have severe frustrations with ourselves? Do our clients have to go through an automated phone tree to try and speak to someone, or do we make it easy for them to speak to a human being? And when we've gone out to clients of accounting firms, these are the things that they've told us that they really like about their CPA. They like that they're able to speak to a real person, that they're not sent through a phone tree, an automated phone tree, and prompted to leave a phone message. So think about the first impression from a website standpoint. Think about a first impression from a telephone interaction standpoint, and then think about a first impression from when somebody walks through the door of your office. We've gone 50% have said very good. I would hazard a guess from the firms that we've visited that we've worked with that we're probably in the needs work, because we need it to be consistent and we need it to be across all areas where we make a first impression. So have a look at the office, have a look at the website, and then make see what small things we can do to move ourselves up into the outstanding. And what you'll probably find there, those 18% in the outstanding block, what you'll probably find there is you get referrals before you've even done a tax return, before you've even had an opportunity to screw it up, so to speak. You're getting good and not to say that you do, please. I'm having a laugh there. But what you do is you get referrals because of your first impression, because your clients and even your prospective clients, they see the attention to detail that you've gone to from a parking standpoint, from a website standpoint, from returning phone calls promptly standpoint, from a really nice cup of coffee standpoint, from nice, comfortable offices. So you'll find those folks that are in the outstanding, that is really the true gauge of whether you are making an outstanding first impression, is if you are getting referrals from prospective clients and current clients before you've even done any work for them. So that's a good measure of whether or not we're in the outstanding section. So again, not rocket science, and I know that we can make a couple of changes in the office this week that will go a really long way to create a great first impression. Same thing with our website. We can make some changes to our website this week to make a good first impression. So, and then what we did as well in our training session last week, we did our phone training. So we do that every year in terms of how do we handle phone calls, who gets to answer them, who answers them, how do they get routed, making sure everyone can quote a fee over the phone, really important. That's one of our great differentiators and creates a great first impression, being able to quote a fee over the phone. So we did a training session for all of our people saying, this is how the phone gets answered. So again, it's a short training session. We probably think, you know what, our people are good people and they should be able to answer a phone, but it's really nice just to get everyone together, bring in some lunch, and just train people or just give everyone a refresher about the first impressions. What are our standards in terms of returning phone calls? How do we quote a fee over the phone? Let's do some practice and training runs. What about when a client walks through the door? What are the steps that whoever greets that person have to take, from shaking their hand to saying welcome, to then getting them something, a beverage that they'd like, to giving them the help sheets while they're waiting for a meeting, actually walking them to the meeting room rather than saying, yeah, it's down the hallway, third door on your right. And a lot of our clients come in and they say, oh, yeah, just pop it, here to see Tara, and start making their way down to the office because they know their way around. But we make it a point to always walk them all the way to the office. We walk them all the way to the door on the way out. And these small things really make a big difference from a perceived level of service. And that, at the end of the day, that's what gets our clients talking, is that level of service. So go back to the office, have a look and see what we can do, see what small changes we can make to help create a very good first impression. So next tip, we got to start training our clients, and we've all got them. We've got those clients that we hear from in about April 10, and they start bringing their stuff in, and they still expect us to get work done. So we've decided no more. So we're taking a bit more of a proactive approach this tax season, and we started last tax season actually, and it works pretty well. We picked up about 30 to 40% of our clients bought stuff in early. So already, as the engagement letters have gone out, the organizers have gone out, so too has this language. We look forward to preparing your tax returns for 2013. In order to provide timely service, we've scheduled your returns for preparation during the week beginning February 25. We would appreciate it if you would ensure that your tax information is available to us by that date, even if there are missing items. And then what we have is, once we've put that date and time on there and we've notified them, we then have a series of steps to remind them leading up to February 25. So an email goes out, an email will go out 1 month before. So the engagement letters and organizers, this language went out the start of January, so, or middle of January rather. So an email will go out 1 month before, just reminding them. An email will go out 2 weeks before, just reminding them that February 25 is fast approaching. And then a couple of days before, we will actually send them a text message and give them a phone call. Because what we want to do is we want to get started on as many returns as possible. A lot of clients come back to us and say, well, Damien, you know that we're always waiting on those K1s, and that's why we're always late. And that's why so it's not our fault that we're late. It's the K1s don't come in until after March 15. And we say, you know what, we're aware of that, but what we'd like to do is get a head start on as much as possible so that when those K1s do come in, we just have a certain amount of, so then we're already 20%, 30%, 40% into our preparation, so that we don't have this massive bottleneck of everyone bringing their stuff in the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of tax season. So start getting the stuff into us as soon as possible. We've scheduled it for February 25, and we would appreciate it if you would ensure that your tax information is available to us by that date. What we've seen is we're getting 20, 30, 40, I would say approaching 50% of our client base is responding to that, and they're responding positively. So we're able to manage the workflow and balance the workflow throughout tax season rather than having this massive spike after March 15 where we are scrambling. And what we don't want to do is well, and unfortunately what does happen is we don't want to be in the office at 10 o'clock at night. We don't want to be in the office on Saturdays. We don't want to be in the office on Sundays. And this training the clients has definitely helped that. And particularly even if there's missing items, just get it to us. So this has definitely helped. Wendy asks a great question. Do all of your clients get that same date? If not, how do you determine who gets what date? Typically, we've seen in previous years when we schedule their tax meetings, Wendy, so we've typically done it a week before their tax meeting to try and get as much information in as possible so that the tax meeting isn't about just handing documents over. The tax meeting is much more productive. So that's been one way in which we do it. And then for everyone else, if they don't have a tax appointment, we just choose random numbers, or random dates rather. So we try to balance the workflow. So some people do the more simple tax returns, they are scheduled for early February. Some of our more complicated clients, they're scheduled for mid-February, late February, early March. But we just try and break it out a little bit over the course of the weeks, but we don't go through our client list and think, ooh, which one should that be? Because all we want to do is we want to get our clients trained to be getting stuff into it. So don't spend time going down the client list and putting dates associated with people. Just look at trying to balance the workflow or balance the workload better, because you know that you're going to get a ton of information coming in between March 15 and March 20. So let's just try and get 60% of that stuff in beforehand. So I wouldn't, you could give all your clients the same date. That's another possibility as well. We've scheduled your returns for preparation during the week, February 25, but I think that might put yourself under undue pressure, because if a client gets it to you February 25 and we don't really get to it because we've got stuff in, that could cause a little bit of dissatisfaction if we don't turn it around in a timely manner. So we just do load bearing, and so we just break it up for each week. Our clients are getting notified that we've got them scheduled for preparation. But the bigger aspect there, Wendy, is even if it's not complete, just get as much information to us as possible, even if there are missing items, just so that we can get a start. And then the real take home is the repetition. The phone follow-up, the text reminders, that is what helps get people focused and getting the information to us. We send this out in January, and if we just left it to their own devices, nothing would happen. But with the email follow-up, the phone follow-up, and the text reminders, we get clients. And we do get a lot of clients, or a lot of members asking us, oh, texting clients, not really happy with that, but our clients actually like it and appreciate it, because they get the email, they get the phone message, and it sort of gets lost with all the other phone messages, gets lost with all the other emails. Whereas a text message, it seems to be more actionable for whatever reason. So our clients have responded quite positively to us sending them text message reminders. So that's been quite interesting. We're a little bit hesitant to do it, and we're not bugging them by any means. We send them maybe 3 text messages a year, so they're okay with that. And Wendy, good question. Do you get permission to text them? We do. We send that in. We send that when they sign the engagement letter. There's a communication piece in there where we get their permission to send them a newsletter. We get them permission to communicate with them, to remind them about important dates. We get their permission to send them a newsletter with important IRS updates and business news. So that's when we do get their permission. When they sign the engagement letter, they sign also a communication piece for that. And if you're a 2020 Premium member, we sent out at the start of the year those as a part of the engagement letter pack that we sent out. So if you're a Premium member and you need that, just send me an email and I'll resend that email so that you do see our engagement letter, our disclosure statement, our communication statement, our privacy statement, so that you've got all of those. Okay, train your clients. We know, and you all know, and particularly those clients that always come in and it's always a fire drill, let's get them trained. Even if 20% of them get work in sooner, it's going to alleviate the spike at the coming into April 15. Next message, next point, and continuing with the text messages, automate meeting reminders. So this year we implemented Demandforce, a nice little product there. So once the appointment is set, the client then gets a confirmation email to say, "Dear Eva, we're looking forward to seeing you," and you can change all this language, but here are your appointment details. Click here to confirm. And we're seeing a big take up on that, and clients have really liked that as well, that they're able to confirm. And if they can't make it, we didn't do it last year, but this year we're putting in a button that says can't make it. So if they can't make that particular date, they can click the button and then identify 3 other dates that are going to work for them. So that's been really good, because what typically happens is we send the client the confirmation email, or we leave a voicemail. We used to leave a voicemail for them, and it was really only at the end of the day, once they'd stopped their 9-to-5 job, or once they'd actually had time to rest and think about things, what they've got their personal to-dos, that they were, oh, got to get the taxes done, oh, nobody's in the office. So it's been really nice, and we're seeing it now that if they can't make that meeting, there's another button below that says reschedule. And then there's an option to identify 3 different dates that would work for them. So what happens then is Carol comes in the morning, and then she gets the reschedule requests via email, and then we're able to reschedule those. So we're not doing phone tag, and we're not missing any, and we're not having no-shows. So this has really helped, and the no-show, because the last-minute cancellation because I don't have my tax stuff together. So what happens once we confirm? They get the email reminder, they get a text reminder, and we ask them to confirm as well. So this automating meeting reminders has really helped. We've got an add to calendar function, and then we've got the map down here as well, which has definitely helped the meeting reminders. Over on the right-hand side, and that's what the text message looks like. You probably got a dentist that uses a similar system, and all our messages say, Damien, your tax appointment is scheduled for April 22 at 3 p.m. Well, that'd be a bit late. Maybe say March 22 at 3 p.m. Reply with C to confirm your appointment. And as I said, our clients have responded very positively to that, because that's how they now interact, and that's how they communicate with their friends and family, is via text message. So our clients have responded quite positively. And so with the Demandforce system, which costs about $300 a month, and if you're a 2020 member, you can get the installation fee waived. So just make sure you tell them you're a 2020 member. But that has really saved Cherry in our office a whole boatload of time, because typically she would come in at the start of a week on a Monday and start dialing and leaving messages to remind people about this week's appointments. So now Cherry doesn't have to do that. That gets done somewhere else. and has freed up Cherry's time so she can help move work through the office, get work done through the office, so we're not spending time on reminders. What we've got there on the right-hand side there is we've got a nice little widget that can sit on your website, can sit on your social media platforms, that people can come to your website and request an appointment. And not just request an appointment as in, please call me because I'd like to schedule some time, but they can request an appointment with specific times. So remember, we go back to people, let's think about individuals where they've been working 8 till 5, or they've finally put the kids to bed, and then they're thinking about, okay, so what's on my to-do list? Oh, got to do my taxes, got to schedule some time with the CPA. They then call the CPA at 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, leave a message. The CPA then picks up that message first thing in the morning, leaves a message for the client, and so we play this phone tag, which not overly time-consuming, but when you add all of that up throughout the office, this is a lot of time playing phone tag, and a lot of time that we could redeploy. So send that somewhere else so that we can keep moving on what's important. So that's been quite nice. So Carol comes in in the morning and she sees we've got 6 appointment requests. 3 of them are from current clients, 3 of them are from new clients. The new clients we actually, or prospective clients rather, we give them a call to go through our screening process where we're able to quote them a fee over the phone and just make sure that they are a good fit for our firm. So it's been really nice that, and people have responded positively, that they can come to a website and schedule some time for their CPA when it suits them. Some interesting things as well. A couple of firms we're seeing are publicly promoting that they're open on Saturdays and taking meetings on Saturdays. And clients have responded incredibly positively to that because that's typically the only time that they have available to meet with their CPA. So more often than not, you're working Saturdays anyway, and I'm sure you've already sent the email to your team to say as of January 27, we will be working Saturdays and overtime kicks in. So what we've done is we've actually changed the office hours for a few firms because CPAs look at me in disgust when I suggest this and say, well, Saturdays is when we don't have appointments so we can actually get work done. And what we've done is we've said, that's okay, why don't we just close the doors on Tuesday and Wednesday, or Thursday and Friday, or Monday, Tuesday. So Monday the office is closed according to the outside world, but Saturday we're available for appointments, and Monday is our day of peace because we've advertised that we're not open on Monday so that we can get the work done. So that's just another tip that we're seeing clients respond very positively to. One of our members up in Roseville, here with their reactions to, or their actual, what am I trying to say, their results. So after 30 days, and the Demand Force has a whole online review system as well, where once we say a job's been done, we send a thank you and ask for feedback. So they had 7 online reviews. There was a satisfaction, and you get rated out of 5 stars, so 97% satisfaction. After 30 days, they had 10 appointment requests. In speaking with Chris, there were 7 of those were from current clients, and 3 of them were prospective clients. So it was really nice, and they all commented that it was really nice that they could go online and schedule time, and they didn't understand why their current CPA could do that. 3 referrals, but down the bottom there, 15 hours of manual tasks saved. And the manual tasks were the meeting reminders and the phone tag. So after 30 days, they identified 15 hours of manual tasks saved. 60 days, we've got 22 appointment requests and 32 hours of manual tasks. So we're not necessarily plateauing once we've got it up and running. We're seeing 15 hours of manual time savings every month. We're seeing 10 appointment requests every month. So it just grows and grows and grows. And as I said, for $300 a month, to save that 15 hours of manual tasks pays for itself every month, which is good. So check out Demand Force, and remember, 2020 Group gets the the installation fees waived. So a nice little service there that we can implement this tax season. We've got plenty of time to get that up and running. Benefits pack. I see a lot of, whether it be the invoices, whether it be the engagement letters, where really all we describe on that engagement letter is preparation of federal income tax return, preparation and filing of state income tax return. But what we see is you guys do a whole host of other things for your clients. You answer their phone calls. You incorporate that meeting as a part of the preparation fee, that meeting. You probably provide them with a portal for secure document exchange. You probably send them a newsletter. You might be hosting seminars throughout the course of the year. You send documents to their bank. You probably deal with IRS nuisance mail or answer questions related to tax returns throughout the course of the year. So what we're seeing in accounting firms that are sort of moving ahead is, rather than this engagement letter, we're seeing firms bring in what we're calling a service level agreement. And we're really identifying everything that we're doing for the client. So rather than just preparation of income tax returns, federal, preparation of it, we're listing unlimited phone calls related to the preparation of your tax returns, a secure portal for document exchange and storage, bi-monthly newsletter, semi-annual or monthly seminars. All of these things are a part of your level of service that you're paying for. Some firms are even going as far as incorporating the October tax planning meeting in this year's fees, or in this engagement's fees. So rather than having to make another buying decision, your clients can see, for $1,200, I get tax returns. I get unlimited phone calls related to my individual tax situation. I get business building and business ideas and tax saving tips on the newsletters. I get free seminars if I choose to attend them. I get this this portal that's able for secure document exchange and or document storage. And to help get some folks up and running on that portal, what we've done is we've gone to our clients and said, look, if you want to get all of those important documents, and here's a list of which includes the will, the marriage licenses, the business licenses, copies of passports, copies of credit cards. If you want to get them into your portal, then just bring the stuff in and we'll have Carol scan it into your portal, so that then it's a year-round service rather than just this one-time, hey, your tax return's online, you can go and download it. So we're seeing a move towards a service level agreement which lists out everything that you do to help the client understand that you're doing so much more for them than just preparation of income tax returns. And what we're seeing as well, John C. Riley is out there telling everyone that as long as you're an intelligent individual and can answer these 15 questions, you don't need a CPA. You can just use TurboTax. And not to say that we're looking for that type of client, but we've got to be thinking about what's out there in the marketplace, that if on your engagement letter it just says preparation of income tax returns, and not really listing out everything else that you're doing for them, I, the customer, I, the consumer, thinking, oh, that $800 tax return fee, that's pretty steep. But you're doing so much more for them, and we just have to list that out. So what we've got there is the benefits pack, and choose one, choose all. You're probably doing a lot of them already. Just list them out as a part, and some people are doing it, they've got the engagement letter because that's fairly standard and formal, and the professional liability insurance folks have already signed off on it, so we don't want to go changing that. Some other folks are then just bringing in another sheet that sits behind the engagement letter that talks about the service level agreement of everything that we're doing. So, for example, you are answering the nuisance mail for the IRS. You are providing them with a portal, and more often than not, you're just eating that. So what we're seeing a lot of firms doing is adding or incorporating the time that basically an average for what IRS nuisance mail what would be the individual portal cost, even if it's $5 or $10 per client, that's incorporated into the fee. There's not a line item that says portal $10 because then the client can pick and choose what they want. But when we come up for our internal pricing, we do incorporate some time for nuisance mail. We incorporate time for the unlimited phone calls related to their tax situation. So that all goes into our pricing equation. So just have a look at any of these. You might just incorporate a mid-year tax planning meeting and just incorporate that for all new clients. It might be a strategic planning day. If you do any level of reporting for you, particularly for business clients, and we'll have a look at this in a webinar. I can't remember if it's Thursday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, but if you're doing any level of reporting, and just incorporate it, just include it, and make sure you state it as a part of the service level agreement. Referral network, bank meetings, whatever you want to do to enhance the perceived value of what you do for the clients. What we've got down there is the bottom one, the audit protection, and that's our next tip for one of your most profitable tax seasons is introduce the audit prepayment program. And so basically on an invoice, you would see, for example, preparation of 2013 personal income tax returns, $700. Next line item on the invoice is the audit prepayment and correspondence fee, $100, asterisk, and then at the bottom of the invoice is the asterisk with this is optional but recommended. And so the client makes a decision as to whether or not they want to purchase the extended warranty, also known as the audit prepayment and correspondence fee. Accompanying the invoice is this language. What is the audit prepayment program? If your return is selected for audit by any of the tax authorities, we will handle the audit up to the appellate level at no charge. If you receive correspondence from the tax authorities relative to your return, also known as nuisance mail, again, you're probably doing this already for free, we will deal with it at no charge. If you elect not to participate in this program and your returns are audited or you receive correspondence from the tax authorities, we'll be pleased to handle these matters for an additional fee at our usual rates, whatever it is, what it is, and then we rightly or wrongly increase a little bit of anxiety which could be substantial. So have a think about that. And what we've done is internally we've said for our audit prepayment program, it's 10% of the fees, minimum $100 is what our internal audit prepayment program fee is. And now that we've been doing it for some time, we see the take-up of about 50%, 60% of our client base has taken us up on the audit prepayment program. A couple of stories from members around the country. One of them, Michael Moffat, he's been doing it for 20 years, and it was, I think, about 3 years ago, he chalked up $1 million to the audit prepayment program over the course of 20 years. He is a two-person firm, and so he didn't believe us when we suggested that he do this. So he basically tracked it, put it in a separate product code, and he shared with us a couple of years ago that it was an additional, it was $1 million of revenue. The number of audits that he had to do, or the number of audits that he had to respond to, he could count on one hand. So have a think about it, and when we look at ways in which we can increase the average transaction value, the audit prepayment program or the extended warranty that Best Buy and Sears provide us is a great way of doing that. One of our member firms up in Washington, I think they added, it was $12,000 of revenue from the audit prepayment program just last year. And so they're looking at not only that again this year, but that growing. So that was the first time that they rolled it out to their clients. And they got, I think, maybe about a 15% take-up rate on it, and I'd expect to see that increase over with time. So the clients that take us up on the audit prepayment program, that will increase, as will the revenue from that product line. So a great way in which we can increase the value. Some people do it Some people do it this way, where it's sitting on the invoice. Other people just bundle it straight into the fee. So what am I getting for my, let's say, $800 tax return? We're getting the preparation of income tax returns. We're getting unlimited phone calls associated with your individual taxes. We're getting your portals. You're getting bi-monthly newsletters. You're getting anytime you need us to meet with the banker or send them documents, that's included in the fee. Then you're also getting our audit protection plan. So all of a sudden, that $800 tax return fee, which is higher than most CPAs in our accounting, in the accounting world, people all of a sudden then make their buying decision as to whether or not they want whether or not they want to purchase this full suite of services. Whereas previously, when it was just that one preparation of individual tax returns, $800, clients were there going, "Ooh, geez, that's a bit steep. That's quite expensive." Alex just sent you the message there. What software do you recommend for the automated reminders? We're using demandforce.com, so check them out and mention that you were on the 2020 webinar, and they'll waive the installation fee. So DemandForce, let us know if you have any more questions about that. But we just added that this year, or last year rather, and this is the first tax season that we'll have it up and running, so we're pretty excited about that. So, audit prepayment program. As I said, I'll send the notes following this webinar, so you'll see the language that we use in our message that accompany the invoices. So whether you choose to bundle it or add it as a separate line item, your clients actually appreciate the service. And we're seeing as well a lot more nuisance mail, which typically you deal with anywhere free of charge. We're at least bringing that to the client's attention that these are the things that we're doing for you. Right, let's have another poll here. Oh, and let's just see how much time do you think you lose to interruptions? So give us some feedback there, and basically what we're going to do is we're going to launch into some tips to help us limit interruptions. Okay, we've got 80% voted, so let's close 82%. So let's close that and let's share that. Again, this is from our experience from working with accounting firms. Whoever said 15 minutes or less per day, I think if you actually tracked it, you'd be very surprised. In fact, anyone that said less than 60 minutes, and this is per day, anyone that said less than 60 minutes per day, I think is probably underestimating how much time they are losing to interruptions. And so we've got to think about that from an interruption standpoint. If we are elbow deep, an hour and a half into a really complicated tax return, and one of our staff members, a client, just knocks on the door, we see the email alert go off in the bottom corner of one of our monitors, and then all of a sudden we change focus. That's an interruption that I mean. And what happens is that whatever research you want to look at, somewhere between 7 and 15 minutes to get our focus back again from that interruption. So we've got to bring ourselves back up to speed. We've got to clear our mind of whatever we were just interrupted by, so we can get focused again on what's going on. So I would suggest, and again, this is based on our experience from, now why is that? Our experience has been we're looking at least an hour per person per day of interruption. So here are our best tips that we've implemented in accounting firms to reduce those interruptions, improve productivity, and actually improve team member satisfaction. So one of them has been quiet time. So we do go into some firms and we've implemented quiet time. So the first, and regardless of when it is, but typically it's the first 2 hours of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday quiet time. No phone calls, no meetings, no standing around the water cooler. We come into the office and we get started on our day. And what we've found is that the people they're at their desks at 8 a.m. and they knock out 2 hours of very productive work, whether that's 8:30 or 8 or 9 or whatever it is. But it's really nice that we get the day off to an absolutely flying start because the office is silent and everyone can concentrate. We don't have people knocking on the door. We don't have phone calls coming in. Reception basically says to the client, unfortunately, Andrea's with somebody at the moment. Can I take a message and perhaps schedule a time for her to call you back? So that's worked really well, that people come in, we don't, and I'm not trying to suggest that we're running a sweatshop or anything like those, and we don't want people interacting in our office. But what it's meant is that we get in and we get 2 hours of billable time, good projects done, out the door, and so the day is, as it turns out, the feedback has been, the day gets off to a really good start because quiet time. Then 10:30, quiet time ends, and we bring in coffee and donuts and fruit and all that type of thing. That's when we have our catch-up of what happened on Dancing with the Stars, what's happening with the Super Bowl and basketball and college basketball, etc. So that has worked really nice. The next one, to help reduce interruptions, we call submarine, and that's our safe word. And how many times have you been in the situation where you are, again, elbow deep in a difficult tax return, and someone comes in and asks a question, and for whatever reason, or you might have been the asker of the question, and then because someone's been so focused, somebody's up against a deadline, we have no idea, but because of that, our head gets bitten off because from the other person, or we bite someone's head off because we're just so basically through no fault of our own, their own, we bite their head off, and all of a sudden any relationship or anything goes out the door because just really we're interrupted at the wrong time to be interrupted. And so then some person slinks out of the office and says, "Ooh, don't talk to Damien, he is in a foul mood." And I'm not in a foul mood, it's just I was interrupted, I was really critical point. So we have a safe word, and it's submarine. So if I say submarine to anyone in the office, they know, don't take offense, but I got stuff to do, and so can you either schedule some time with me or come back in 15 minutes or come back in half an hour, or let me come and find you once I'm done, but get the hell out of my office, and of course, no offense. So we do have a safe word. Everyone knows what the safe word is. It's the same safe word, basically submarine. I'm underwater. I really need to focus. Can we schedule some time for later? Office hours works really well, particularly if you're a partner that gets a lot of interruptions. So we've implemented what university professors have of office hours. And what that means is that at various points in the day, our team members can actually schedule time with us. So it's another important point that we go into the open calendar section. We used to actually put a clipboard on people's doors to schedule time. So what it means is people coming in to the office know that they've got 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is. So they've got to be very succinct with their question. Or alternatively, what it's also meant is, can I find the information anywhere else? Is there, and we've started to build frequently asked questions databases so that those first, and it gets rid of maybe 30% of the questions are in the frequently asked questions. And so we have internal frequently asked questions and also external frequently asked questions for our clients. So in our email signature, there's have you got a question? Hit our frequently asked questions on our blog. Or alternatively, we've got the frequently asked questions there. So if a client does email us with a question, the client emails Carol with a question, we can direct them straight to the answer rather than having to type the response 20 times throughout the course of tax season. So think about what are the top 5 frequently asked questions that your clients ask you. How do we fill in a form? What are the deadlines? What does this mean? We had one the other day, should I be leasing or buying a car? So we can get these frequently asked questions. And you probably got, if you've subscribed to any CPA-specific website, you probably have access to these frequently asked questions. So let's look at that language and then just help everyone in the office. Here's the resource. So rather than you having to write it out, here's the answer, copy, paste, send, or put it in your email signatures. So we have external frequently asked questions and we have internal frequently asked questions as well. Next tip, open your calendars so that everyone can see them. When whoever answers the phone and they say, I'd like to speak with Carol. Unfortunately, Carol's with somebody. Before we used to say, can I send you through to their voicemail? Now we say, is there something I can help you with? And when the client says, I just wanted to schedule some time with Carol to discuss ABC. Well, I've got Carol's calendar in front of me. When would work for you? So again, rather than phone tag, we have the calendars open. We're able to see when appointments are set for us. I can see that that Chris in the office has scheduled his quiet time, so I know not to interrupt him. I can see Chris's office hours, so I can book some time. So open the calendars to everyone so that everyone can see what your availability is to schedule meetings, that you're available for meetings, that you're available for internal meetings, external meetings. And last but not least, to reduce interruptions, turn off your email or the alerts at the very least. Turn off the notification on your phone, because as soon as that little ding or vibration happens, we shift focus. And what we recommend, and it comes from a number of books, is just answer your emails in batches so that we can answer our emails once every 2 hours. And then we just stay focused on our emails. And I know you have the clients that say, did you get my email? They call you 3 minutes after sending. And we've got to either, if, for example, we've got to make sure our front desk is aware of when our quiet time is, just to say that we're with somebody, to start training and weaning our client's office ever so slightly so that we can get work done and not be constantly interrupted. But I know my productivity, I don't turn my email on until maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. Those days, my productivity is through the roof. So think about that in your own office. What can we do to limit the interruptions? And hopefully we've given you a couple of ideas there. WIP meetings, let's have a quick question. Do you have WIP meetings every week during tax season? So quick question for you. Let us know. Give us some feedback there. We've got the last couple of minutes of the webinar. And we've only got 30% voted. Where's everyone else? 50%, 60%? Okay, couple more seconds. Probably, well, yeah, it's probably, we'll share. Looks like about 50-50, and we're big fans of WIP meetings. And why? Because, again, we want to get our week off to a really flying start. So we have 10 minutes every day, every Monday, whether that's first thing or just after quiet time, where we come in and say, who's on first? We've already got the report of here's all the work that's currently in the office. Here are the due dates. Here are the priorities. Has everybody got what they need? What are we expecting? What are we waiting on? Who's got capacity? Who's feeling like they're underwater at the moment? Let us know where we currently stand. So they're standing room only. We do not. It's the same agenda every week. We have the reports beforehand, so it is a quick 10-minute meeting. So it's not a case if I go to Chris, oh, Chris, what have you got in the office now? I know what Chris has in the office. And I say, Chris, you got these 15 tasks on your to-do list. Do you have everything you need? Are we waiting on anything? Can anyone in the office help you? Go, go, go. And then we're back to the coalface. And what it really does is it really gets everyone focused on the week ahead. Sometimes when we didn't do it, we noticed that Monday could be a bit of a slow start if we didn't get everyone fired up and off to a flying start. So WIP meetings, big fans of them, but they've got to be very disciplined and they've got to follow the agenda. And that important part is have the reports ahead of time. So it's actually one of the last things our operations manager or office manager does at the end of the week is they get the WIP reports to everyone for Monday's meeting. So everyone has them ahead of time, and we're not just going around and we know that some folks can be a little verbose, like myself, so they get a warning bell after 2 minutes, and they get cut off after their 3 minutes. Good question. WIP meeting Monday before or after quiet time? Test it. See what happens. I would probably suggest. We've seen it done both ways. Some of them do it before quiet time, and some of them do it after quiet time. Do one or the other in terms of some folks do quiet time, but we've just got to be careful with bringing everyone, congregating everyone together on first thing on Monday. If we want that WIP meeting to be 15 minutes and then we break, if it's the first thing on Monday, sometimes those meetings run longer because we start doing the chit-chat. So if you're very disciplined and you know how to say, look, we're here, let's go. Whereas if you do know, or if you do see some chit-chat coming in, let's do quiet time first, then into the WIP meeting, and then we break for a cup of coffee and snack. So just try different things, but probably most successful is quiet time, then WIP meeting, because more often than not, most people have plenty of work on Monday morning as well. So just see what's going to work best for you. Feel free to give me a call and we can talk about some different strategies. But if your firm is renowned for chit-chatting, then let's get straight into quiet time. Last tip, or second last tip, get paid promptly. We don't do collections in our office, and we know that the client's perception of value decreases with the amount of time. So actually, before we've actually completed the project, is when our clients value it the highest. And you can see that their perception of value decreases with time. So we want to be paid either anywhere up to this arrow, because as soon as we let it go 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 15 days, whatever it is, their perception of value decreases because they are on to the next project. They are on to the next fire that they've got to fight. So we do not want to do collections. So we are cash on delivery. We do retainers. And particularly for clients, or if we've got to get into the QuickBooks and really clean that up, we do a retainer just for cleaning up the QuickBooks. We accept advance payments and we offer discounts. If you want to pay in advance, you're going to get 10% off because I don't have to have Carol do collections. That saves time, that saves administration, and my money's in the bank. Direct debits for those annual clients that we're doing we might be doing, even individuals, we might be doing their income tax returns, we might be doing tax planning, and maybe one other meeting throughout the course of the year. So that individual client might be worth maybe $2,500 a year. We're more than happy to do quarterly payments via direct debit or offering credit cards if they want to pay by credit cards. And I know American Express, they charge us, or Square Up, where we can accept payments on our phone. They charge us 2.9% or 3% or 3.5%. But I would much rather, here's my math, I'd much rather 97.1% in my bank account tomorrow than Carol having to raise an invoice, send an invoice, wait for the check to come in, bank the check, wait for the check to clear. And that's assuming they pay promptly. If they don't pay promptly, chase them up, phone them, etc., etc. So when a client does come in, to pick up their information, we encourage that because it's a good opportunity to schedule time for tax planning or wealth management conversation. We accept credit cards there and then, or they can write us a check there and then. So cash on delivery, accept credit cards. Don't do collections. It's not a good use of your time. We offer prompt payment discounts in some firms, and as I said, we have seen some prepayment discounts as well. If you don't have a collections issue, no need to change, but all we want to say is it's not the best use of our time. I want to free up as much time for Carol so she can work on marketing, so she can work on systems, assembling returns, getting stuff out the door, client touching and client appreciation type activities. So I don't want her spending time on collections. So why don't we have our final poll and ask the question, do you accept credit cards? So let's just launch that very quickly. Give us some feedback there. And that's the last thing that we've got. So folks, 69% voted. Let's wait for, get us over 70%. Come on. There we go. So let's close it there at nearly 80% voted, and no surprises, which is good. 90% have said yes, accepting credit cards, no. But maybe have a look at some of those payment terms. Let's look at maybe getting those back. So we'll just hide that. So what we might look at is look at some of our payment terms and then tighten those so that we're not spending a lot of time on collections. Wendy says where we are, we can pass the credit card fee on to the client. For me, as a client, as a customer, I get really frustrated when I see service and then a separate charge for credit card processing, whereas in our own office, we've just factored it in to the fee that we quote and the fee that we charge. So rather than there being this separate line item of credit card processing for $800 and then a 3% charge for credit card processing, the tax return preparation is just $815, and the fees are factored in there. So guys, we don't need to be, just factor those fees in to what you charge for a client. So we add $10 for every client for credit card fees. So just factor it in, folks. So folks, let's finish it up there. Gone slightly over, for which I do apologize. I hope that we've given you a couple of ideas to get yourselves in better shape for tax season. And just a reminder that, let me see what we've got. Tomorrow we've got a webinar on, I think it's tax season marketing is our webinar tomorrow. So join us for that, same time, same place. As I said, I'll get the course notes out to everybody so that you can see the language that we use for the audit prepayment program. So tomorrow we've got how to shift from compliance to reliance to make sure your client's financial security is covered. So that's a really good one in looking at how we can increase the perceived value of what we do for our clients. And then on the 30th, we've got 7 of the best tax season marketing ideas. So please join us for that. Thank you very much for joining us today. Let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me an email. Best of luck for tax season, and let us know what we can do to help your firm. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much.